What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Drama Drop. We have a lot to go over this week. Summer House Reunion Part 2. I know that is just what everybody is waiting for. I have other things to discuss, but I don't want to waste any time. So be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get into the episode.
Hey friends, this is the Drama Drop because somebody has to talk about it.
All right, guys, per usual, there's a lot to discuss, and I just want to go ahead and put a disclaimer. I'm going to talk about part 2 of the reunion at the end because there's just a couple other things that I want to go ahead and get through so I can really put in all the time and attention into part 2 of the Summer House reunion. First thing that I kind of want to just dive right into, the D'Amelios, okay? Charli D'Amelio, when is the last time you've heard her name? Because I honestly forgot about her, which I think is crazy because she was all over the internet, all over TikTok, all over everything. It was like the whole D'Amelio family clan just threw up all over the internet. Anyways, this was kind of a shock to me. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I will say one thing I did make note of. Well, I can't take the credit for it, but I love the comment section in TikTok and Instagram. Like the comment section is the best place to be. And a while ago, I can't even really put my finger on when, but a while ago, I was watching something about Charli, or maybe I just randomly thought of her and went to her actual TikTok account. But I saw a comment basically saying, you know, like there's something going on with her family. Like she's not cool with her parents. She doesn't follow them anymore. And I had to fact check that because I was like, no way. And that was true back then whenever I saw it. Had no idea why, don't have any idea. Like, it's kind of crazy because with how much they were all over the internet, all over everywhere, they really kind of just fell off and disappeared and very quietly went away. So there's not a whole lot to go on. So I just was kind of like, I have no idea what happened, but that is true. She doesn't follow them and they don't follow her, but she does follow Dixie. Anyways, fast forward to now. Deuxmoii dropped something on us that I just wasn't really prepared for. Allegedly, you know, Charli, she basically wants nothing to do with her parents because she suspects that there have been millions of dollars stolen from her family, or her parents, I should say. And, you know, I think one, that's classic. I feel like anytime there's always a child that goes into fame or whatever, makes a lot of money, somehow the parents always find their way in there. Again, this is all alleged. So we don't have any hardcore proof. We don't have any solid evidence that this is the case. But basically, this is what was the start as to why she no longer associates herself with her mom and her dad. So, and her mom, his name is Heidi. Her dad's name is Mark, just for story purposes. But anyways, so as per usual, the internet sleuths, they are on it. They notice these things. Like they are just spot on with, okay, there's something going on. Because if you paid any sort of attention like a couple years ago, this family was very much, like I said, in our faces. They, you know, they were doing everything. They had their hands involved in literally everything, and they're very loud about it. So it's not like it was just Charli that came up and maybe her sister tagged along. Like it was all of them, the mom and the dad too. So anytime any of them had anything going on, it was posted all over social media. TikToks were made about it. So much support just spewing out of their pores, just like everywhere. It was, you couldn't get rid of them. So when things were happening for Charli and there was no public family support, I think that's when the alarm went off for people of like, oh, this is kind of weird, because Charli, she landed a starring role on Broadway called And Juliet. And obviously, like, that's a huge moment, you know, for anybody. And especially with them and this type of family, and they're very much centered around the media presence, for them to not acknowledge it at all was definitely suspicious, very strange. And then, you know, obviously when you start to see that and you're like, well, that's kind of weird, then the first thing you go to check to see if there's anything else that can kind of confirm your suspicion is you check the following list, right? You look at the followers, you look at the following, and that's kind of usually whenever you can come to your conclusion. So when the internet sleuths were doing that, they said, all right, Charli does not follow her parents and her parents don't follow her, but like their accounts are active. So it wasn't like they just all, wiped away their social media. They're just nowhere to be found. There was no mutual following. Obviously, like you don't just unfollow your parents and unfollow your kid for no reason. So why, why? So it just seems to be that this is what has come to light. So with all of this going on, and she does still follow Dixie, she does still follow her sister. So obviously, Deuxmoii, she dropped this bombshell on us and we're kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? Charli hasn't said anything. She hasn't made any sort of post. She hasn't done anything passive, no hints, nothing. So Charli's dad, Mark, he went ahead and took it upon himself. He was like, all right, well, I'm going to go live, which, I don't know. I really don't know if that makes him more guilty or not guilty. And I'll get into my thoughts on her parents in a bit, but I'll just go over the live really quick. So if you guys missed it, so he did go live, basically kind of like, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and kind of talk about what I can talk about. And, he is pretty much just telling everybody that Charli is being manipulated. She's being controlled. She's being lied to by her business manager. Okay. And this business manager views Charli as a cash cow. He tried to do the same thing to Dixie. However, I guess, I don't know if Dixie just was seeing through this business manager or didn't fall for it or just didn't want to believe him. I don't know. But Dixie's not really involved in this whole thing. I guess she's just more of the middleman. I have been seeing people that Dixie is siding with her parents. I don't know. I don't have anything to go on to confirm or deny that, other than I just know that she is still following both Charli and her parents. And like, if she's just kind of in the middle, like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if she even knows really truly the truth, because at the time of all of this, I mean, she would have been considered a child as well. But anyways, so he just really kind of puts all of this on the business manager. And, he says that it's kind of just gotten out of hand. And so Charli is 22 now. Okay. So this whole thing started January 2025. Okay. And now it's coming to light, which is insane. So they've been pretty quiet for a really long time. And Mark, he even says, he was just saying that we never get involved in drama. We never address rumors. We never do anything. But with 6 years, I guess, being in the spotlight of whatever and having stories and narrations about us, I can't stay silent about this. Which, I could see frustration on that. Like, that is a kind of a huge thing to be put out there. But, he says that they love Charli and it's like destroying them. It's destroying the family. Like, they feel really sad because now the only way that they can really communicate with Charli at all is strictly through a lawyer, which is just crazy. And he managed to make a little snide comment of just saying like, hey, Joe, like, hope Charli's doing well. Basically send her our love, because he can only communicate through the lawyer. But I just, I don't know. This would be insane if that is the case. And I could honestly see it. I mean, again, this is all alleged, and I'm not saying that this is fact because Charli hasn't talked about it at all. We have nothing that is concrete evidence. I'm guessing if she has lawyers involved, I would assume that there would be some sort of case happening. But when I really think about it, there's cases on both sides as to why they think, oh, her parents would be doing this or no, they wouldn't. And one of them being is that they were already financially comfortable before this whole TikTok fame came. But like, let's think about it here. Okay. There's a difference between being financially comfortable and generational wealth. You know what I mean? So it's like you have this one type of lifestyle one way, and then all of a sudden everything changes and it's just like almost an abundance. And it's not even just your daughter at this point. It's also your other daughter. And then you as parents are getting opportunities. And then as a family, you're getting opportunities. So I just don't really think that makes too much sense. Like, again, like I said, especially this day and age and the way the economy goes, like, a dollar constantly changes its value, basically. So it's like financially comfortable is completely different than generational wealth, and for it to just like keep continuing and stacking up. And another thing that I feel like is just kind of crazy. I mean, it was very clear that they loved the fame and they loved all the opportunities that the girls were getting. I mean, if we really look back, Charli D'Amelio, it didn't seem like she was somebody that was trying to get famous, because back when her up and coming of everything, this was before people really knew that you could truly make a living off TikTok, right? So like this all kind of happened during COVID. It was just this teenage girl in her room in their normal home. I think they were, New Jersey. And she just happened to blow up. So, and she was kind of just like the epitome. I feel like the start of like, oh, what could happen for you on TikTok? Like she was the beginning. She was the highest following, on TikTok for a really long time. I don't know if that is now still the case, but it's just like she was the epitome of, okay, you could have this average lifestyle, and with luck, I mean, obviously she was very talented. She is a really good dancer, but you could just be this average person and then just boom, overnight success, have so many opportunities. And, I could just see like her parents being like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. I mean, her mom used to model back in the day. Could this be something that she's living through? Charli, she's like, oh, I didn't make it. All right, Charli, you're up, and just going through that. I mean, come on. Charli was on Dancing with the Stars, and then somehow Heidi, her mom, lands a spot as well on the same. I don't know. I think that's kind of weird. So they are not shy at taking opportunities. They push Dixie into the limelight, like they have brand deals. Dixie has a singing career. There's modeling going on. They have a show. Okay, let's talk about the show. I don't know if you guys watched, but I definitely watched on Hulu, the D'Amelio show. And it was just very evident that those girls were just kind of over it. I think they enjoyed what they did to an extent, but because it was such an online presence and they were very young, and you just deal with the trolls, you deal with the internet, the online hate, and they can only take so much. It was so clear that they were not happy. Okay. They didn't want anything to do with it anymore, almost, or just at least take a really long extended break. And their parents were just like, no, you got to keep going. You got to keep getting after it. Like, this is fame, baby. Like, pony up. Like, don't turn off your comment section. You got to be strong, type of thing. Like, very much just driving the horse. Like, there was no like, okay, well, what do you feel comfortable with? Okay, great. We'll turn off the cameras. All right, guys, shut it off for today. You know what I mean? It was, and they kind of masked it as if they cared, like, oh, let's talk about it. And like seeming as if, they're trying to give advice to like overcome this adversity or overcome your bully, or just, don't let people control you, type, like your emotions, like just overcome that. But if this is to be true, all of that just makes so much more sense. It's like, no, like, he says the business manager views Charli as a cash cow. I feel like they probably viewed Charli as cash cow. I don't know, because like when you think about it, or at least when I think about it, a lot of famous, like influential social media families, it usually starts with the parents. And then they probably, like if it's family content, they include their kids. And then maybe as the kids get older, they kind of branch off. But it's very few that I feel like you see the kid skyrocketing into fame and then the parents piggybacking off of that. I mean, I feel like Addison Rae's mom and dad, maybe they did a little bit of that, but I mean, it was not nearly to the extent of obviously of the success of the D'Amelios. So yeah, there could be some truth to it. I don't know. Hopefully we'll see. I'm very curious, because it was just crazy to me when I did discover that they weren't following each other. And also too, I don't know if they're blocked, because, it's obvious like their accounts are still active. So I can see it. If she didn't block them and they just like willingly unfollowed her, that is weirdo behavior. Like, that's crazy as a parent. I don't know. I just would think like, my daughter's going through something, like I'm not going to just unfollow her. That is just insane. insane. So I just really hope that it's not true. And for that purpose, if they did, because they aren't following her, for that purpose and reason alone, like I hope Charli did block them, because otherwise that would just be really strange to me if they decided to unfollow, like tit for tat. Like that is just really weird as a parent. And then you're also going to come and claim and say, oh, we missed her, we love her, this is destroying our family. No, you would be doing anything you can to try to just have the peace, not do anything alarming out of whatever. It's like, okay, my daughter's going through something. We'll get this figured out. I don't know. That would just be weird to me. But yeah, so I guess we'll see. I mean, hopefully it's not true. Charli hasn't spoken out about it, so we have no idea from her perspective. Dixie hasn't spoken out about it. We only have what Mark has said, which is basically it's not true. And I can't even talk to her because I have to go through her lawyer. So hopefully there'll be some sort of closing of the loop on that. I don't know when, considering all of this started, I guess, January 2025. But yeah, I don't know. But I'm kind of glad that now that I know what happened, because like I said, I noticed that from the comment and I did my own research and I was like, okay, that is true. But I don't know what happened. So I kind of like that now that we know, Okay, next update in another just drama that never ends. Taylor Frankie Paul, her custody battle update. So we got a win for Taylor Frankie Paul. Okay, so there was a court hearing this past Monday, June 1st. So there's been an improvement as of right now, which thank goodness. So this is, regarding Taylor and Dakota's son, Ever. And the judge decided, to lift the mandatory supervision for Taylor Frankie Paul. So that is a win. So she doesn't have to have supervised visitation with her son. She was also granted the same midweek day. So each day she'll be able to get her child. It won't be overnights, but she'll get that. And then she'll also get alternating weekends, which I think is great. But the judge says for now, Dakota will still remain the custodial parent on holidays. And he also, banned okay, you guys cannot talk bad about each other. No disparaging remarks. That includes social media, zip it basically. Just both of you stay in your box, stay in your lane. Don't talk about each other. Just keep it offline, or actually just don't do it at all, but definitely don't keep it or put it online. And yeah, so there's still guidelines that need to be met. There's going to be another one on July 8th. So we'll see what happens there. But I just want to say I'm excited that she's able to get to see her child more. Her lawyer, her attorney really just put in the work, I feel like, for her. He's like, okay, let's look at this here. You have Dakota. He's unemployed. Okay. He lives with a roommate. All right. We don't see that he has any family support here in Utah. So it's like, if he needed help, he doesn't have anybody other than whatever his roommate, which we'll get into that. And then we have Taylor here. She just bought a home. Okay. And it's big enough to, for space for all three of her children, have a roof over their head. She has family. She has a lot of support close by, living in Utah. She's doing great things for herself. She has a lot of reasons that she's fit to have custody of her child, or at least, let's move into a higher custody arrangement for her where it doesn't have to be what it was. So that was granted. And thank goodness for that. I'm really excited for her. I'm happy for her. I'm sure she feels a little bit of relief, but I do know it doesn't end, obviously, because during that time, they have their hearing. It was all over Zoom or whatever it was. It was all virtual. She sees Dakota, obviously. So it's kind of okay, great. Dakota's here. He has no family in Utah. But so who's watching Ever? Who is watching our child? And I mean, rightfully so. I feel like she definitely has the right to ask that question. In the hearing, the lawyers, and again, I don't really know logistics, and what could necessarily, if that's appropriate to have on record. But he said, we'll take it offline. We'll take it offline. So obviously this is just kind of stirring up issues for Taylor. And, people are just making noise on being like, oh, she's just worried because she doesn't want ever to be, watched by another woman, whether it's like Taylor's girlfriend, or sorry, whether it's Dakota's girlfriend or if it's a woman that he's seeing or whatever. But I mean, let's think about it. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like, she definitely has the right to know who is watching her child. If the person who the child, like the sole custody, is sitting right in front of me in a court hearing, he has no family. So it's not like it's a grandparent, an aunt, uncle, or whatever. Who's watching the child? It doesn't matter if it's a girlfriend or whatever. Like, she has a right to know. So I think that was so weird that people were just more so, oh, she's just being jealous. I mean, I think it goes way beyond that. Way beyond that. And who knows, I can't even necessarily say no on that, of like, no, it was nothing about jealousy at all. I feel like it was more in terms of not even jealousy of because of whoever it was, maybe in a relationship with Dakota, but more so of like, I'm the mother. And I don't even want to use the term jealousy, but it's just like, that's my child. You know what I mean? Like, who is my child being around? Like, I need those answers. But so it's just kind of crazy because we move forward. Okay. And people are making a lot of remarks of like, okay, Dakota's roommate, who's Dakota's roommate? So it's this guy Crew. And oh gosh, so now he's entered the chat, and now him and Taylor are kind of having this online feud. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, how many more players can we get into the mix? You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't seem to ever simmer down. There's always a new player that enters the board game. And I'm just like, how many more can we add? How many more? You know what I mean? So if you don't recall, I'll refresh your memory. Crew obviously isn't the best when it comes to supervision. Like, he doesn't even know how to handle an animal. Okay. So let me go back. His ex-girlfriend, Julie, like, there was a time where he was watching her dog. The dog escaped, ran, unfortunately passed away. I'm pretty sure the dog got hit by a car, which is absolutely awful, terribly sad. Okay. You're not even able to handle that. And you think Taylor is going to be comfortable knowing that, all right, my ex baby daddy, whatever you want to call him, is unemployed and rooming with this guy who is just so negligent that the dog runs out of the house, gets hit by a car. Like, I'm just supposed to be okay with that. I don't know who these people also are having running in and out of the house. Anyways, so it was just kind of crazy. So like, Taylor, she just makes it a normal comment about being concerned, as she should. Like, I don't think that's ridiculous of her. And for anybody to even question that or even say like she doesn't have the right to is out of their mind. But anyways, she makes a comment of just like, okay, well, Crew doesn't even have custody of his child. So why does he seem to be fit to kind of be an interim supervisor of mine? That makes no sense. And I just think that she makes a lot of valid points. So obviously, this just doesn't land well for Crew. Like, he's like, I'm not going to be silent, because why would anybody be silent, right? Why would anybody just take the online beating and move on? Like, they can't. They have to. And again, I feel like this kind of goes back to what I've said like multiple podcasts ago of like, okay, I totally understand defending yourself. And I know when people are saying, oh, why are you being so defensive? Like, you seem guilty, but it's so frustrating to have a narrative come across and like, you just feel like you have to be silent. You can't even try to defend yourself. So I feel like I'm kind of being contradictory here, but he doesn't stay quiet, not at all. Because why would he? You know what I mean? So he's very quick to dropping a video and throwing shade on Taylor Frankie Paul. But before that even comes to fruition, he makes a comment on one of her posts because Taylor brings it to light. Okay, he just dropped a Bible verse. Like, he didn't type it all, but he just says in her comment section, Luke 17:2, which Taylor took it to mean that he was trying to harm her. So I'm going to read the Bible verse. So for those of you who don't know, so the Bible verse, it says, it would be better for them to be thrown into the sea with a millstone tied around their neck than to cause one of these little ones to stumble. So Taylor took that as in like, oh, like he thinks she needs to be harmed, whatever, like kind of like a threat, And Crew comes on and he's like, no, with anybody that has any sort of sense, basically calling her stupid, any sort of common sense, context clues. It's basically saying like God punishes those who hurt children. It's saying like, if you're going to hurt children, this is what you deserve type thing. So not that that's any better at all, but he's just trying to basically say, oh, you're stupid, Taylor. I wasn't trying to say I'm going to harm you. I was just saying what God said. You know, if you're going to hurt children, like this is what is coming for you type of thing. And I don't know. It's just so shady. And so he has like a whole 2-part series of just being like, Taylor, I don't know what you're even talking about. I have all these videos showing how unfit you are, doing despicable things. Like you should be behind bars. You're only coming at me because you're mad I took away your drug supply, aka you abusing Dakota. So obviously not like an actual like substance or whatever. I feel like he was referring to just like the high she gets off of abusing Dakota and like just this toxic relationship that they had. And he's like, you're mad I called the cops, just basically being insane. And you know, I'm just like watching this all go down and I'm like, oh my gosh, like how much more could this possibly go on? And then he throws in like you come home from the Bachelorette and the first thing that you do is you call Dakota and basically want to hook up with him. That's not anything new. So I don't know what he was trying to do there. I feel like that has been known. So congrats, I guess. But yeah, he was not staying silent at all. But she doesn't really seem worried at all. Like it's just kind of funny the way Taylor moves because she just will lay it all out there. And then if anybody tries to come after her, she's just kind of like, whatever. And this is just where I feel like she has to have so much validity and truth to what she says to all of us because she just never seems to waver. She never seems to seem scared. You know what I mean? I don't know. But all she had to say really about all of what Crew said, it's like, it just sounds like yapping to me, which she's just like, I'm not even going to acknowledge it. All that he's doing is yapping. It's not important. But honestly, I just hope she's careful because I don't know, like, if that is happening right after your hearing where you're able to get more custody, more visitation with your child, like, don't ruin that. Don't risk that. Like, I'm all for Taylor defending herself and outing people that don't make sense. And again, like I said, she has absolutely all the right in the world to question who is watching her child at any given time when the child is not with her, but to kind of attack, I guess, or just kind of, be negative or kind of just snide remarks, whatever, even though it's not necessarily about Dakota, it's about his roommate. I just want her to be careful because I don't want the judge to look at that and kind of be like, all right, never mind. I take back everything that I said. I need her to kind of maybe simmer on that end. I don't think the judge is really going to look at anything else in regards to, issues that she has maybe with other castmates, other people of Mom Talk, anybody else. But because, Crew is kind of like an extension of Dakota, I feel the judge could look at that, and especially when it's at the core centered around her child, and kind of that could be go against her, or it could give, Dakota's lawyer ammo. I don't know. I just want her to be a little bit careful. So we'll see. I mean, that last update of the whole yapping thing, not too much of an update, but just that it was still continuing earlier today before I'm recording this. So there could be more, but I just need her to be careful and just really, really think about, what she's doing, what she's saying, because I feel like they're going to be looking literally at everything that, the more custody that she is getting, more visitation rights as a mom and a parent, that they're going to be scrutinizing it even more, especially on Dakota's end, like not even just the judge, but Dakota's end. So we'll see. I mean, there'll be more to report on that. So the next hearing is coming up pretty quick. That's next month. So I feel like this will start to ramp up a little bit more. So I don't know what the word is. I feel like I'm anxious for it. Yeah, I can't say I'm excited because I'm not. I'm just anxious to see all of this unfold, unravel, and hopefully Taylor gets the justice she deserves. So, all right. So those were the other topics that I wanted to talk about and touch on and just kind of be like, what is going on? Now we're moving into what I feel like most of you all are here for, which is part 2 of the Summer House reunion. There's a lot to unpack. At the same time, I feel like there's not in terms of just like what Amanda and West gave us, but just to kind of really peel back the onion, the layers, like let's get into it. Like I, again, was just so anxious to watch part 2, okay, of this reunion. And, we just like really jump into it because where we left off, it was, Amanda was starting to show just a smidge bit of emotion, right? Like she couldn't even look at Sierra and Kyle. You could see her lips start to quiver. You could see her shutting her eyes and just like the tears kind of swell up and her getting up saying that she needs a minute. Okay. So now we're just right back into when Amanda needs a minute, and whatever, she gets her time. Okay. That happens. People need to walk off and collect themselves. Annoying. Yes. But whatever. Go ahead and take your time. Not that much time, but take some time, I guess, to collect yourself, collect your thoughts. But it's just like uncomfortable because you just have West sitting there and I don't know. Like, I don't know what they took before this reunion, but the way that those two seem just really unbothered. And I know I'm probably sounding contradictory because I just said, like, we're now getting emotion out of Amanda, but like, this is it. This is pretty much it. And like West just seems so calm, cool, collected. Like, it's just another thing that he has to do. And everybody's like, West, get up, go get your girl. Like, you're just sitting there like, hello, like she's clearly upset. And he's just like, like he's giving nothing of like, oh, well, like, what if there's more questions for me? Again, West show. He's not even worried about what's going on with the girl that he's like all head over heels for, just ruining everybody's lives for, because he might have some questions that Andy's going to ask him. He might have some questions. Not that this has never happened before to where, okay, if you need to get up and walk away, we can recircle back to the questions that Andy may have. No, but he may have some questions. So he needs to stay put because just heaven forbid, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you are so just such a loser. Like, that's your main concern. Like, that's your first thought. Not let me go check on her. Let me go check on my quote unquote girl. Everyone calls him out on it. Everyone's like, go be a man, go do that. And, Kyle's even to the point where he's like, should I go check up on her? I don't know. Like, he feels like inclined to, but he knows that he shouldn't, but he gets up to go do it. And thankfully Andy's like, no, like she'll be back out soon. But before all that even happens, which is just like so crazy, Dara comes out. Okay. And I just, this I really appreciate. She comes out and she gives kind of like her spiel, but Amanda's not here at the time. Right. And so when Amanda finally comes back, they allow her to kind of say what she says. And, she's very much just kind of like, West, like, you just treat the women that you act like you care for, act like you want to be with, act like you have any sort of interest in as expendable. And it's just the West show constantly. Like, it is just all about you all the time. And the person that you need to be with or you want to be with, that person needs to learn how to fold and, not question anything that you have going on, kind of just whatever you want to flow and how you want the relationship to be. That person needs to be a yes woman, like, yes, 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 like it's fine. Put their head down, like not question anything. And, he doesn't even really disagree, which is actually really alarming. But, she's like, this is just a pattern in your life. And this is just something that you will always be. Like, West doesn't care about anybody more than he cares about West. And, I also feel like too, given that, she has had a romantic relationship with West like years ago, and they learned that they were better off as friends, I feel like it's even more truth. Like, it's not like she's just a friend on the out, like she's been in that position where she was romantically involved with West, but they were able to, I guess, he didn't ruin her that badly. They were able to keep a friendship. Maybe it was more of like a mutual thing. Like, I don't know fully the history. Like, obviously it wasn't traumatic because I don't think she would just be willingly wanting to come on Summer House. And also, like knowing that she's not going to be with West and all of that. But yeah, she just says that there's a lot of concern into his behavior. And is this going to change? Probably not. So when she first like lays all this out, Amanda's not even here. So I was really kind of nervous. I was like, okay, is this even going to be readdressed? Because Amanda's not here. And this, if anybody needs to hear any of this, it's absolutely Amanda. So thank God Amanda comes back finally after her long awaited break. And, we had to have Sierra to kind of chime in and be like, I'm sorry, when is she coming back? Because like, we don't all just get to like leave and for an extended period of time. Like, I know we're here all day, but hello. So Amanda comes back and Annie gives Dara the chance to kind of, just reiterate what she said. And she's looking Amanda in the eyes, kind of just like, listen to the words that I'm saying. And it is just blank stares for Amanda. You know what I mean? It's like, it's in one ear and out the other. Like, it's just not registering to her, like what people are saying, like the warnings people are giving. Dara's like, I mean, if this is the type of person that, like, you have to decide, like, if he like, it's all the West show and like, kind of what you're getting, you need to decide if he's the type of person that you want to risk everything for. And she just kind of like nods, like, okay, like, she doesn't, I don't know. Again, I don't know what they took to completely just like turn off any sort of emotion. I don't even know if the brain cells are working to where it can compute what people are saying for there to be logic moving in the brain. Like, I don't know. Or I just don't know if it's like, I'm just going to be that stubborn and just stand on what I'm doing. But like, alas, I guess, like, it's very crazy to me, like all of this. Everybody is looking you in the eye and saying, this man just isn't it. Like, look at how he treats everybody. And the craziest part about it is he doesn't even try to defend himself to be like, no, that's not true. Like, I treated XYZ really great. Or like, no, like, that's not true. Like, he doesn't even try to defend himself to try to show that he isn't this type of guy that everybody is literally trying to portray him as, which is a terrible guy. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like he's agreeing with it. Like, he's like, yes. And I'm just like, what is happening? How are we here? This man next to you isn't sticking up for you. He isn't coming to your defense. He isn't telling people to lay off. He's also not trying to explain why he'll be different for you. Because like, all right, like, let's just look at it as in, yeah, you grow up, you date different types of people. You may be different in every single type of relationship until you find your person, until you grow up a little bit. Like, not every relationship's going to be the same. Like, there may be things that you go through that you learn and then you take that with you into the next relationship to grow, be a better person. But that is not even what he's not even trying to even lean into that angle and try to be like, I know, like, I was so crappy to Sierra. I know I was terrible to this person, to that person. But like with Amanda, it feels different. Like, I feel like she's my person. Like, I'm all in, like, he's not even trying to pretend, which is terrifying to me because Amanda is witnessing this and it's not making her scared at all. It's not making her seem like she's questioning anything. It's just kind of like, this is what it is. And she's just ready and willing to blow everything up for this risk, aka West. I don't know. It's actually insane. So she still just doesn't really have any emotion, which is really frustrating. I feel like she's just very quiet. She's not answering the questions that I want her to. Like, I just don't feel like I'm getting enough from her, which is frustrating. Like, you look at the end of like Sierra, Kyle, Lindsay, Mia, like we're getting a lot from them, which I appreciate, you know, a lot of emotion, like questions, like what were you like XYZ. But the responses from Wes and Amanda are just not enough for me. And I feel like that's really frustrating. Like I need them to actually speak, answer, just give us something. It's just like they just think, all right, we'll just take it almost and it'll be easier. I don't know. But so, you know, we're moving along on this. And then which I hope we're going to be able to dive into a little bit more on part 3. Because remember, we have a whole nother part with all of this. But, you know, it's kind of just like the midway point, I guess, of the reunion. Like they're about to go on break. So it's like showing the parts of like, okay, are we supposed to see this? Do they leave this in? Because, you know, this is part of it. And, you know, we're discussing, all right, maybe everybody needs to go on like a little break, a little lunch break, whatever. And then Kyle and Sierra, you hear them talking about like, this is just absolutely insane because we know for a fact that West was in an exclusive relationship for a really long time, Mayha. And this started in like February of 2025. Like we have evidence, like, but all of a sudden, like that's like, what about that, you know? And so they're going to go figure that out because, so first of all, let me just back up for a second. This girl, Mayha, whatever. I guess her and West met at Montana State University. Okay. So they had a little fling back when they were in school together, called it off, whatever. I guess they rekindled. So they kind of started a whole lot more serious and towards the later part of maybe 2025. But according to Mayha, like they were exclusive, like they were dating. You know, West referred to her as his girlfriend. And, you know, somebody like West, like he's clearly a charmer because he knows how to work people. You know, he knows how to tell you what you want to hear and to make it sound convincing. And it's like, oh, yeah, like that makes a lot of logical sense. So they started their relationship, and this was through him filming of Summer House. So, you know, he's telling her on the lens of like, all right, you know, we're together, but like there may be things that I need to do for the show, for the plot, for the storyline. So things that you see, like, don't be alarmed, you know, kind of just like making sure he has all of his checks and balances in order, I's dotted, T's crossed, because he's like, all right, I want you as my girlfriend, but I'm just going to say like for the show, I need to do this for the show. Like the show is like this security blanket of like, I need to do my job. So if there's any funny business going around on the show, after the show, whatever, for this little plot line, like just accept it because it's for my job. So like, just don't be alarmed. Wow. Like what a perfect scenario for you, Wes. Like how convincing. But you know, like the timeline also is just like crazy. So it's not like that happened and then they broke up and then this whole Amanda and Wes thing started. No, because they've been in cahoots almost up until this joint statement was dropped by Amanda and Wes, because we learned from Mayha that she stayed with him like at his apartment March 24th. And then let's not forget the joint statement dropped March 31st. So you're telling me, oh, it's getting serious with Amanda, but you're still talking to this other girl, or like, I wouldn't even say talking. It's like, this is your girlfriend. And let's just say maybe they try to like cool it off a little bit. Like if this was your serious girlfriend, but you're still entertaining her, but hello, then you have Amanda. And anyway, so like Kyle reveals that he's been communicating with her because he's like, my curiosity got the best of me, which totally understandable. I wouldn't have even waited. Like that would have been the first thing I done. As soon as I got word of like this chick, I would have been like, okay, wait, tell me, like break it all down for me on y'all's relationship, because I just need to try to like figure this out, because how crazy if he's like already basically being crappy to Amanda, like already just like playing her. And anyways, so when this break happens, like Sierra's FaceTiming Mayha, and like I just think that's crazy. I'm like, ooh, like we're breaking some walls here. So I'm like, all right, hopefully part 3, that would be just beautiful. If they could just set her up on a screen, I don't know, make it a little conference call, just have her on FaceTime being like, West, you're a liar. You're literally a liar, because I feel like she's very pivotal to this story and timeline. But yeah, I mean, like she just she reiterates everything that Kyle and Sierra were saying. Like she just confirms like, yes, like I was his girlfriend. They didn't have a public relationship, but she believed that it was real and exclusive. And the reason it wasn't public was because that would help West in his narrative and him being able to do whatever he wanted, because he could do whatever he wanted with other people and Summer House, and no one would be like, oh, that's weird, he has a girlfriend. And then on the other end, for her, it's kind of like, okay, we're keeping your identity a secret, but just know like me and my outings, again, it's all for the show. So I'm just doing my job. So it's just like very calculated, very carefully curated to just do what suits him best and to try to seem like a good guy and like that he's not hurting people, when that's literally all that he does. It's what he's best at. So anyways, Andy's like, Amanda, did you know about this? Like, were you aware of this situation? And I don't know if she thought this was a better answer. I don't know if this is necessarily true, or if she's like, oh, like this will make me look better or make the situation look better, kind of diffuse it. But she says that she knew Meha existed, which is ew. That's so gross. So you're telling me you were okay? You were okay with this? Like, it just goes back to Mia being like, you went from being somebody's wife to a side chick for West. Like, you are single-handedly watching him try to do chess moves on all these women, and you're just okay with being one of them. Like, it doesn't make it any better. So it's like, I don't know if she maybe didn't know the extent, like this was all revealing itself to her for the first time, like more concrete details of West and Meha's relationship on the reunion. And she didn't want to be embarrassed to be like, oh no, I didn't know that. But it's almost more embarrassing to say that she did. And to be okay with it. It's just kind of like, this is your standard. Like, this is like, you were so miserable with Kyle, but like, this is better. Like, this is the other choice that you're going with. Like, you didn't level up by any means. Like, I'm just really confused at the choices. I don't know what all West has told Amanda, again, because he hasn't told us. He hasn't said, oh no, like all these other women, like, sure, I treated them terribly, but like, it's different with Amanda. Like, she's the one, like, he didn't tell us that. I don't know if he told her that behind closed doors. If, let's just say like she was fully aware of Meha and he's like, all right, like I need to try to kind of like tamper off this relationship, but just give me some time while I do that. So like, that's how, Amanda knew what was going on with that. And that's why there was still some grapplings. And, anyways, so yeah, so we'll see. I don't know if more will come out with it on part 3. So, but at the end of the day, I'm just like, Amanda, this is just really, truly so embarrassing. And then furthermore, I feel like Amanda was just really trying to defend her decisions by kind of pulling back more with Amanda and Kyle's marriage, and which she didn't have to, you know what I mean? That's what's so funny about all of this. It's like, she's trying to show more about what was going on in their marriage and kind of almost defending her actions. But it's like, she didn't need to. She's only feeling like she has to defend it because of who she's chosen to lay with at the end of the day. Everybody was on her side. They were Team Amanda. They were like, yeah, Kyle's terrible. Get rid of him. Everybody was on your side. But what it comes down to is like, these two people were not compatible. Okay. We learned that in their entire marriage, 4 years of marriage, they were not intimate one time. Okay. Not saying that either thing is correct in this situation, but it's like, you have two people that were not meant to be together. Yeah. It's going to be an explosion at some point, because if they were never intimate, Kyle's like lonely in his situation and all of that. I'm pretty sure I touched on this last pod, but it's like, you're getting no attention. You're getting no love from your wife. Like, it doesn't feel homey at home. It doesn't feel cozy. Like, There's none of that. It's like, all right, like you're trying to distract yourself from that. You're DJing. That's your side gig. You're staying out really late. Maybe you're getting attention elsewhere. I'm sure that probably starts to become maybe a little appealing, but it's like none of their needs were met in the relationship, obviously, to begin with, because it wouldn't be like, oh, it was so great while we're dating. Now we're married, and then all of a sudden it just completely ends. Like if there was nothing of that within their marriage, it's just like, how do they expect this to work? So how I'm viewing this is like, to me, Amanda saw Kyle as a ticket to fame, opportunities, money. Like that's just kind of what I feel like she was looking at a marriage with Kyle to be, very transactional. But there was no love there, okay? And so I'm looking at it as in like Kyle actually, like he made terrible decisions for sure, but like maybe he really loved Amanda, wanted that relationship, but he wasn't getting the intimacy. He wasn't feeling the love. It didn't feel like a genuine partnership. So it's like, then he starts, all right, well, I'm getting attention here. People love me when I'm DJing, whether that's like necessarily attention of like doing just, fan attention, just like, oh my gosh, all these people are coming to my DJ show. It's like, ooh, you love that. He doesn't feel that at home. It's just like a huge mix of being a disaster. And, these two people, like it could have been two adults having a conversation like, hey, like, how do we fix this? Like, how do we make this marriage work? Like, how do we get that spark back? But again, I'm like, there's no way there was all this spark, all of this just great, strong relationship. And then it just fades immediately once the I do's were done. I don't think so. Because if we look at it, it's like her friends were trying to tell her to not get married. Like Kyle was kind of showing, cracks in how he would be as a partner before the marriage. But it was like, that didn't matter to Amanda because in my mind, it's like, you see dollar signs, you see fame, you see opportunity. Like, so you're just going to look past that and you're going to be miserable because of all of this. But, I don't know if it's like, it just got to be too much, or she started seeing like the Ariana pathway of like, he's treating me so terrible. Like if I get rid of him now, like I can be up at the top. Everybody's going to be like, queen, yes, you did it. But she just fumbled it so hard when she made the decision to be with West. And I mean, I don't know. It's just, yeah. So she just tries to say that like she learned, Kyle wasn't a great husband. Like he was staying out late, stepping out of the marriage. She's trying to say this as if this is groundbreaking news. People knew he was doing that. People knew he was maybe flirting with other people. He even says it. He said he's never slept with anybody, but like, sure, maybe like he did things that were just definitely not appropriate, which is not okay. I'm not being like, oh yeah, big deal. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying she's saying this information as if we're all supposed to just stop in our tracks and be like, oh my gosh, okay, this makes so much more sense as to why Amanda's in this position and she leaned on West. No, this was already kind of a known thing. You were already on the path of like, yes, it makes sense for Amanda to want to get a divorce and like be on her own. And then she could have had literally everybody or anybody in the world that she wanted besides this one person. And like, that's just the path that she chose. So whatever she was like trying to do to defend herself, to be like, to try to even make any sort of sense as to why now it's her and West sitting on the couch together, being like, we're for each other. Like we have interest, we have feelings for each other. It doesn't land. It doesn't land for anybody, and it never will. Like it just doesn't make any sort of sense because you had everybody rooting for you, everybody on your side, and then you just fumbled that so hard. So it's just a really terrible situation. She made a terrible decision, but she's sticking by it. And as of right now, they're still in Italy. I'm sure their plan is to just stay there until all of the reunion parts are done. She's still wearing that weird hairdo that she's doing like for every event now. What's up with that? I don't know what that's about. I'm not a fan, but she wore that hairstyle to a wedding that she was a guest of going to, like with West. Why are we still doing that hairdo? I don't know. That alone is crazy to me. That alone should tell West, ooh, I need to get out of there because I'm not feeling that bun thing, whatever it is. It's just very bizarre. But yeah, so I mean, there's definitely more to come. I mean, we still have a whole another part. My hope is that we can just get a little bit more out of Amanda and Wes. And I just don't think that's going to happen at this point because, like I said, they are on something that is just making them so just like chilled / zoned out / mellow, emotionless, whatever. I mean, just the notes of this all is that there's just no emotion. Amanda's, she's really not seeing the big picture here. And West isn't doing anything to convince me or anybody else on that couch that he's like truly for Amanda. Like this is something different, that he is going to be different. He's just letting everybody talk. And for whatever reason, he thinks that's the better option. But yeah, so we'll see there's more to come for sure. I mean, we have a whole nother part, like I said, and I'm excited to see it. I'm honestly really ready for this chapter to be wrapped up for the pod. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But yeah, we'll have more next week. All right. So we're gonna wrap up the pod, close it out with Chic and Week of the Week. All right, so my Chic of the Week is going to all the lovely ladies that participated in Miami Swim Week. You guys look incredible, amazing. Yeah, I mean, I could never do it. That is crazy. So big claps to all the women who participated in that. Everybody looked stunning and it was fun to see. I loved looking at everybody's looks and everybody crushed it. So good for them. And my Week of the Week is parents who control their children of the media influence and fame and seem to just take over their money. You know, it's really weak behavior. Again, not saying that this happened to anybody recently, but tale as old as time. You just see that over and over. And I feel like there's got to be just a little bit more protection when it comes to children, minors that grow into fame, like a lot of money all at once. There's got to be some more protection of that. So weak behavior of parents that take advantage of their children. It's really weird and I don't like it. And hopefully whatever we talked about in this episode is not true. So, all right. So that wraps up the topics, you guys. Thanks for listening to the Drama Drop. Subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcast. Be sure to follow and like at the .drama.drop on all socials. And I'll see you guys next time because somebody has to talk about it. Love you guys.